Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video I want to discuss something that I think is pretty important going into Final Fantasy XIV's next expansion, Stormblood. Now I'm not reading from a script here or anything, so expect it to be kind of ranty, just a forewarning. So there's been a lot of really exciting information coming out regarding Stormblood. Red Mage as the new job, and it looks fantastic. You have Omega as the 8-man raid. You have Return to Evilise as the 24-man raid, which is just pulling on major nostalgia strings for hardcore Final Fantasy fans, which is getting people who aren't even hardcore Final Fantasy fans excited about the upcoming content. But with all of these really cool announcements, there's just one thing that's itching to get out in the back of my head, and that question is Stormblood just gonna be another Heavensward? So let me elaborate real quick. When Heavensward first came out, everyone was talking about how it was such a great expansion. The story was great. The new areas were large and open. Flying didn't feel cumbersome, and you didn't have it to abuse to get through the leveling process. The primals were cool. Thornton was amazing. Alexander seemed like it was going to be so great. But after a few weeks settled in, people got through Alexander normal. People started really kind of just repeating tasks. A lot of people realized the same thing. It did nothing to innovate the experience. It was basically just, here's a few new abilities, here's a new zone, and then here's more of the same things we were giving you all throughout 2.x to 3.x. Yes, the systems that were implemented in A Realm Reborn, like hunts and treasure maps, got updates going into the expansion areas, but there was nothing to really de-stagnate, which I don't even think is a word, the experience of playing Final Fantasy XIV on a consistent basis. And let's be frank, it was worsened by the fact that patch 3.1 not only took over 4 months to get launched, but then it was not a very good patch. They tried new ideas because they were realizing that 3.0, they knew that their formula was not as exciting for players and they needed new ideas. So they tried adding the RTS of Lords of Verminion, and then they tried adding what was more like the Diablo loot collecting style gameplay, and that of the Diadem. And both of them fell flat on their face. It was the lowest time in Final Fantasy XIV's career as an MMO, I feel. And while it seems like they've gotten better at these things, Aquapolis was a great addition that I hope that they keep building on. Palace of the Dead, the first deep dungeon, we already know they've planned a location for the second deep dungeon, was awesome, and they've made a lot of great quality of life changes to the game. But I can't help but wonder, is Stormblood going to be the same thing where I get in, it's really exciting, it's new areas, new monsters, new dungeons that are cool maybe the first couple times through, a story that I end up loving, and then the same deal. I get to level 70 and it's 2 dungeons in the expert roulette, a raid that I'm clearing once a week, a normal raid that I'm getting loot from once a week, and then eventually the 24-man, which I'll probably get loot from once a week. Just all these things that were exactly the same as in Heavensward and in A Realm Reborn. That is my current greatest fear, because yes, we know they have ideas. They've been giving us like inklings of hints there and there. We know we have Eureka, which is going to freshen up the relic experience, allegedly, by giving the relic or the weapon progression system its own dedicated piece of content. We know they have another deep dungeon plan. I'm sure they have other updates. We know they have brand new types of PvP being implemented. But the question is this going to stimulate the experience to the point where it doesn't feel like just a repeat of exactly what the last 2 expansions, the rework and the first expansion, Heavensward, did? Now, while I'm doing all this talking, I won't kid myself and I won't kid you guys. The majority of the player base is quite happy with the way that Final Fantasy XIV has been progressing. The majority of the player base uses it as a means to socialize, to log in, have a good time. They're just focused about having a good time with friends. They're not worried about super hardcore gear progression and content that will last me hundreds and hundreds of hours. They're just happy to have a community, they're happy to have a game, they're happy to have a place where they can have fun. And you know what? That's what brings new players in all the time. That's what keeps the majority of the more silent player base happy. And those of us with a voice tend to put things a little bit into hyperbole because we play the game a lot, and we play it and we progress a lot. So with my fears of Stormblood also come things that I actually think will happen. I don't think we're going to be forced into the same formula, although I do believe that formula will be present. I still expect every major patch, 2 new dungeons, new primal, new beast tribe, 8-man raid with 2 difficulties, 24-man raid on the odd numbered patches. Things like that I absolutely think are still going to happen. However, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more things like Aquapolis and Palace of the Dead, and there's a few reasons why. So one thing we're always hearing about from the OCP is how things are so resource intensive. But content like Aquapolis and Palace of the Dead is much less resource intensive because they focus on reusing existing assets. They're not super intense. They make a few rooms, make it so they can connect in a few random different ways, and bam, you have a semi-random piece of content that requires far fewer resources to create than other things in the game. Whereas when you go to like a 24-man raid, they have to create this entire instance of all unique things that feels alive and unique, with things out in the distance and things that are nearby, things you can't touch, things that you'll never interact with, just to make it a fuller experience. Aquapolis is the same room 3 times, then the same room 3 times again, then a different room, and all they're doing is throwing treasure on top of it, all with the exact same layout and just recycled enemy types all in it. And it is a completely successful piece of content. Palace of the Dead, mostly reused assets in there. A few things that absolutely stand out. Clearly, floors 150 plus are things that are unique to Palace of the Dead, but it's just the same like bunch of room combinations over and over again for 10 floors, and then you go on to the next one, and then even those might be copy and pasted. Then you have this enemy types. There are some unique ones in there, but far fewer than they need to put resources into compared to what you'd expect out of 200 floors. So I think that reusing existing assets in Final Fantasy XIV to create new pieces of content that have different gameplay elements is probably going to be something we see a lot of going into Stormblood. And I think that's the right attitude to go into. We could talk about Final Fantasy XI all we want, because I know people always go, they should just add Dynamis, they should just add Limbus. Whatever, I don't give a shit. Those things were boring. What matters to me is that Final Fantasy XI constantly reused assets to make new pieces of content. It brought down development costs, it brought down development time, and it allowed them to focus more on the gameplay of the new experiences they were creating over creating these beautiful landscapes with new things. They did it when they had to, but they didn't focus on it. It was all about gameplay. The other thing is, and I honestly people probably want to hear this, RNG plays a big factor. Aquapolis is exciting because when you open that chest, you don't know what enemies you're going to get. Okay, so we got this set of enemies. It's a little different. Oh, Argus randomly spawned and we randomly got bonus material. Oh, goblins spawned. Quickly get them so we can get the bonus skill and stuff. Okay, now we have a 50% chance to progress. Yes, we made it to the next floor. Okay, next floor, same experience. Bam, repeat, repeat, repeat. It's more exciting than, well, I'm going to go into the Aquapolis. We'll go down 7 floors, whatever, and we'll just grind that out for a few hours. Way more exciting. Palace of the Dead, same deal. Okay, floors 1 to 10. I need to get Ether Pool. Yes, we got a silver chest. Oh my god, another silver chest. Yes, Commander of Rage. Yes, Accursed Horde. All these random elements, and they're not random elements that necessarily feel bad. They're all random elements that when they pop up, there's a sense of excitement. And I think that's another aspect. RNG that's within reason to stimulate the experience. Even within dungeons, I think this is going to start happening. I hope that Square Enix really gets that formula down of using RNG in a mitigated sense to create new gameplay experiences and to create moments of excitement in an otherwise bland environment. I also hope they realize not to put resources towards developing things that are absolutely not going to be used. Things like the Gold Saucer is fun, don't get me wrong. Triple Triad was fun at first, but there's so many people that go, if they release Triple Triad, if they release Chocobo Racing, if they release Lords of Verminion, if they release Blitzball, I'll never play another game. You're liars, okay? That's it, you're liars. Like, that's just how it is. So many people say that, but as soon as one thing is different about the experience that they remember from 10, 15, 20 years ago, they go, nope, it's not the same. It's not interesting to me anymore. Of course it's not, because you can't keep doing it forever. That can't be the only thing you do that pays your sub. Yes, there's going to be people out there where that's the case, where they are literally hardcore triple triaders or hardcore chocobo racers. Some people just love one activity that they can just dominate. That's not the vast majority of people. So I really hope they don't go out of their way to develop really off pieces of content that just don't necessarily match your average MMO player's expectance, and they just focus on developing content that the majority of the player base will or can use. It's a very fine line to draw because you never know how many people are going to be invested in each individual piece of content, and you want to have a good variety of content where all kinds of players can join your game. But it's a matter of what is worth putting your development time into and what is not worth being the key word. And we'll see if they've learned that lesson going into Stormblood. All right, if I keep going, I'm going to end up ranting for the next however long. TLDR, at the end of the video, we TLDR. TLDR, I hope they don't make the same mistake they made with Heavensward, where they just follow the same safe formula and it stagnates the experience. I really want them to create something that is unique, something that is fun, something that is fresh. I have the confidence they can do it, but I have to be concerned that they won't do it. Please, Yoshi P and team, I believe in you. I believed in you all these years. That's why even after playing the horrible launch that happened with 1.0, which I know you guys weren't responsible for, I still played. I came back for A Realm Reborn. I've been making content for 3 years. It's because I believe in the game. It's because I believe in the community. And I want to keep believing in the game and believing in the community and believing in you. So please, best of luck on Stormblood. Best of luck on the development process. And let's hope that they can make us a great experience. Anyway, that's going to be it for my rant. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and discuss what I said in the comment section of the video below. But anyway, thank you again, and until next time, take care.